Hello there. I hope you're having a great day so far. I thought I'd share some thoughts and maybe not advice, but some ideas about slowing down and how it can be an incredibly effective method or tool for intentional living, for loving your attention, and for really making the kind of progress that I know most of us crave. So, this video is about drawing a straight line, but actually, it's about learning how to slow down. And I'm going to be doodling away trying to create something here while I tell you about this. I've always been into creating all different kinds of art and music and just putting things together, trying to create solutions for things. Maybe you saw my custom desk build that I did recently on the channel. You can definitely check that out if you haven't. But it's been something that has definitely been a recurring thread in my life. And I actually made it about 10 years without ever getting an iPad. This is my first tablet, and it is an iPad Air 4, I think. And one of the things that drew me to it was the pencil that I'm holding in my hand there. It just is something that is so intuitive and so easy to use that it really convinced me to finally just pick up an iPad. So I'm proud of myself that I went this long without one, but at the same time, I'm really glad that I did make the decision to get one. One of the things that has been difficult for me is using the interface with a mouse and keyboard in Adobe Photoshop or those other applications. I was never really able to feel like I could connect the dots and get the software to do what I wanted to do. But when I started using this pencil and Procreate, that all changed. The interface was super intuitive and everything just kind of did what I wanted it to do, except for one thing. For the life of me, I could not draw a straight line on this thing. My hands were like kind of shaky as I'd try to draw the line across the page, and so it would never be straight. It would never even be like a curved line or whatever like I wanted it to be. It always looked super messy. It's so incredibly frustrating to have this basic thing just seem to be impossible. And it's funny because it took me like a year or two to develop the technique and the muscle memory and all of the things to hold a camera really steady whenever I'd be doing filmmaking work or things like that. So I know that this sort of thing is changeable, but in my mind, it was just really frustrating. And so I kind of figured like, all right, I'm probably not going to be able to do this. It's just, my hands aren't made for it. It's too shaky. So I ended up putting it down and taking a break for a while. That's right about when something kind of crazy happened. Some of the kids who live next door to us started throwing pieces of chalk into our backyard. At first, it was just one or two pieces, but then there were like three, four, five. I started collecting this chalk and I ended up just like having 10 or 15 pieces of chalk in this pile. And I thought, you know what? All this chalk is pretty well weathered and beat up, so there's really no sense like throwing it back over, and that might seem kind of strange. So I ended up making something with it. And that led me down this path of doing a bunch of chalk art. That's right, this seemingly spontaneous thing led me down a path of creating. I did dozens of chalk art pictures, as you can see here on the screen, over the course of several months this very spring. But then tragedy struck. Not really, but actually it just got really hot here in Phoenix, like 115 degrees, to where the concrete and the patio was just way too hot, even once the sun went down, in order to comfortably do chalk art. So I had to give that up for a while, but I wanted to keep going on my illustration and my creating, take everything I'd learned and apply it back to something else. And so I picked up the iPad again and decided to give it a try. It just so happened that this was in the beginning of July, when we were focusing on slowing down and slow living. And so I decided to apply that concept to my work on the iPad, to my illustration. Really like taking a deep breath and just letting myself slowly and steadily work through these illustrations and not feel like I had to finish them right away. Really try to be patient with myself. And something pretty incredible happened. The first thing was I decided to just overlook the fact that I couldn't draw a straight line. Just let it be. I was going to keep doodling and just do my best and try to create some different illustrations and see where it took me. The second thing is I slowed down on shipping. So instead of just working on something for a few hours and just hustling and feeling anxious trying to get it done, feeling like it needed to be good and done or else I wasn't going to finish it, I allowed myself to continue working on an individual illustration for more than a day. Some of them lasted multiple days, almost an entire week, where I would spend time on it, then a little less the next day, and I would just keep coming back to it. So that was another form of slowing down that really helped me. The third thing is that I slowed down enough that I let myself be not very good at the software and actually just take some classes. I hopped over to Skillshare, which I love and is also the sponsor of this video, and I found this amazing class on how to illustrate with Procreate, the app that I use. By working through the lessons and just breathing and not rushing myself, I was able to learn all of these new features and different things. I am a paying customer of Skillshare. After my last sponsorship with them, I ended up buying an annual membership for myself because I keep going back and using it. So I'd love to tell you a little bit more about Skillshare before I get back to the rest of the story. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. I've been slowly working through digital illustration and art classes on Skillshare, this one about using Procreate specifically, and this one about designing characters from scratch. Skillshare has everything from productivity to learning chess strategy, all the way over to short format filmmaking, and storytelling. One of my favorite parts is that Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they are always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused on what you're trying to learn, pace yourself, move slowly through them, actually complete the classes, and follow wherever your creativity takes you. If you're interested in making videos, but these longer formats feel pretty intimidating, this course on video for Instagram by Halise is a great place to start. It's a brand new course and she's an incredible storyteller. So here's the deal. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and supporting my work here at Break the Twitch. So I imagine you're probably wondering a few things now. One is, what about that straight line you were talking about in the beginning of this video? And two is, well, what happened? What changed when you did all of this stuff? Well, first of all, I didn't quit. I kept going and let myself be bad for a while. When I took the pressure off of doing these illustrations and doing the work and what I expected out of them, it really made it a lot easier to just keep showing up and move more slowly and actually make way better stuff. There were times when I would delete entire swaths of work where I would redo a section that took so long to do, but I knew that I could do it better or I could fix something, and it was all part of the learning process. The most amazing part to me, and maybe what should have been the most obvious part, was that after a couple weeks of doing this every day, my arm got better at drawing the straight line. I actually physiologically changed and I got the skill that I needed in order to hold my hand steady enough so that I could basically get the line to go where I wanted it to go. Not to mention, I learned that in Procreate, you can do different things to make a line go perfectly straight if you need it to. It was all about the learning curve of learning the software and how to best use it. I had to really remove a lot of the expectations I had of myself and just let myself be where I was, even though I knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to accomplish. Just accepting where I was for what it was and operating from that place, slowing it down. Now, I'm no master illustrator. I don't think my work is going to be hanging in a gallery necessarily. I am really enjoying what I'm creating. And for the first time in this sense, especially on an iPad, I'm feeling like the things I want to create are able to be made, that I'm actually able to connect the idea with the outcome of the illustration. And that's something that is incredibly satisfying. And it just takes some learning curve and some breakthrough to get there. So if there's something that you're putting pressure on yourself about, where you feel like you need to be better than you are right now, you need to be somewhere else other than in your current state, take a moment to observe that and pay attention to it. Because slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And when we actually let ourselves go through the process, read the instructions, try it out a couple times, take a course about something, even if it's just little bit by bit every day, it can make a huge difference in how far we go and how kind we are to ourselves along the way.